Hello and welcome back on my channel, Old Wisdom, New Life. I am so happy to have you here. I kind of, had a little pause, a little break the last couple of months because I went through a really tough time. And this is also what this video will be about. I will share some techniques, some tips and tricks from a shamanic point of view, what you can do when life gets hard and rough and you don't know what to do anymore. And I want to share a little bit what I learned from this hard time last couple of months, and specifically how to use shamanic methods to ease the way through the rocky roads. So yeah, for all of you who are new here, hi, my name is Maddie. I'm a biologist and author and a shamanic practitioner. And on my channel, it's mostly about shamanism, but also what we can learn from indigenous people and their way of living in order to improve our own life, our own health and happiness. So yeah, for me, the last couple months were really, really tough. So there was a lot of things happening in my life. My cat got really sick. I got really sick. I kind of, was asking myself, what is it that I really want in my life, my trajectory, where should I go? What should I do? I felt a little bit lost on the way. Then end of October, I took part in the 3 years program of the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, which was originally founded by Dr. Michael Harner. And so he found the core shamanism. So in the 3 years program is really the most advanced program that you can attend in their kind of, I wouldn't call it a school, in their foundation. And so it was one intense week from morning till late, really working shamanically, going through different things, rituals and initiations, and it was tough. I really was on my limits, on physical and mental limits, but it was worth it, and I learned a lot from it. And I learned the first thing that I would also recommend when you go through a hard time in your life. I learned that community is so important. Like-minded people are so important, specifically when you just started out with shamanic work and you feel a bit alone. You do your little shamanic journeys and you connect with your spirit animal, but you're not sure if this what you're doing is right, or should you do something different. Is that all normal, what's happening? And so it definitely helps to find a community from other shamanic people, or people you like, and you can openly talk about your experiences and just share what happens in your life. That definitely makes a big difference, because you don't feel alone anymore and you don't feel like you're losing your mind because there are other people who experience similar things, and you can just exchange and all that. So that was a big thing that I learned during the week, that community is really, really important, and that you find people where you feel you're not the exception anymore, but this is just a normal way of living. When I'm usually out with people, most of them, they don't know that I'm working shamanically, and I'm not bringing the topic up. But this is a big part in my life, and I don't want to always hide it. And once I talk about it, sometimes people look at me if I'm, like a little alien. And and I just realized, I don't know, I don't really want to hang out with people who can't really be open about it, or who can take me for who I am. And that's okay. Not everyone needs to like everyone else, but at least you should, or need to find some people who understand you and who are on the same page with you, and you can connect with and exchange. And that was really something I learned that helps through a hard and tough time. Also, during the week, my connection to my spirit animals just grew so much bigger. And I just, at one point, and that was what the program leader said and told us, you have to make this decision that your spirits are real, that you are getting valuable answers from them, and you need to stop doubting it. And I really was at that point where I don't know. I just really thought, okay, now I experienced the most amazing things, and the last little doubt that I still had about all of this, the existence of spirits and all this, kind of vanished, because I made amazing experiences during that week, which showed me again that my spirits are always at my side. They take care of me, they don't leave me, and they support me. And there were really rough situations. Like, there was that one thing I was so afraid of doing. I knew I had to do to go through this initiation, but I was I was terrified. I was really terrified. And so I asked my spirits, what I'm going to do. I know I have to do this, but I'm so, so afraid. And they kept telling me, no, breathe in, breathe out. Welcome the fear, go through the fear. This is the process. This is the initiation already, that you're able to sit with your fear and you still be okay. The fear is not you. It's just a part that is in you, and it wants to move through you, and it wants to be seen, it wants to be heard. And that's what I did. And it was hard, but it was really worth it. And just that close guidance that I got from my spirits was so amazing. I felt so loved, so supported. And this alone, gives you trust that you're not alone, that you are supported. The universe will take care of you. But it's important that you know your helping spirits, that you know your spiritual teachers, your spirit animal, because just in real life you wouldn't go to a bakery while you will actually need help with your teeth. You need a dentist, so you need the right person to talk to who can solve your problem. And it's the same thing with the shamanic work. You have to be sure with whom you're working with, and that's these people or these spirits are the right spirits that you can trust and who are really working for you, not against you. So that's the first step. If you don't know your spirit animal yet, if you don't know your spiritual teachers yet, this is the first step. Get to know them through a shamanic journey. If you don't know already how to do the shamanic journey, I have a video here about how to find your spirit animal without shamanic journeying, so that you can just start out with that. Other than that, I will make more videos also on how to start with shamanic journeying at home. But yeah, this is the first step. Get to know your spiritual allies and yeah, work with them. And then you will see that you are not alone. They will help you, they will guide you, they'll give you direction when you don't know where to go anymore. And I do also see the same way. Like, we had horrible weather here. It was snowing, it was dark, it was foggy. And so one day I drove home from Berlin. We live a little bit outside of Berlin. And there was so much snow, I couldn't even see just like 1 or 2 meters in front of me in the street. Of course, I kind of knew the direction where to go, but I was like driving like this. It was like, oh my God, oh my God. But that's the same thing, it was enough for me to just see 1 or 2 meters ahead. That was all it was needed. So eventually I kind of, made my way all the way home, but I needed to trust that I'm on my way. And it's the same with your life as well. You might not know the whole way. You might not see all the way through your horizon and all the way where you want to go, but you see the next step and you see the next step and the next step. And if you're not sure where to go, you can always ask your spirit animals. You can say, should I go turn right now or left now? I don't know. And they will give you clear answers. The one important thing is that when you ask your spirit animals and your spiritual helpers, you're not doing it from a point where you're rushed, where you're stressed, but you got to kind of first start to anchor yourself and relax. Do a little breathing exercise, breathe in and then long out breath. So just that you can switch from your head into your body. You can also tell yourself, like, I'm totally with myself now. I'm here. I am present, so that you are really not acting out of a fear, because then it's a bit harder to communicate with your spirits and really get their answer, because the brain is interfering and the thoughts are just shattering in your head. So try to center yourself in your heart, and then, from there, breathe out, and then you ask your spirit animals, what do I do? What do I do? And you will get the answer. So, and if there's no answer, then there's probably nothing to do. That's also something. So, for example, with me, like, we are currently selling our house, and the whole process started already in August. And since then, it kind of was dragging on, it wasn't clear if the buyer will get the money. And so we were not sure anymore if this whole thing really will work for us. But we were kind of in between, should we like go with this buyer or not? Should we find someone else? Should we move out? Will the money come in? It was constantly question marks all over the place. And so I kept asking my spirits, and they said, the process is, it's like kind of, it's going. There's nothing for you to do right here, and wait. You have to wait. And when there was something to do, they were letting me know. They was like, okay, now you have to do this, or now maybe you do a little, I don't know, I had to clean the house also energetically a couple times. So I knew what to do at a certain point, but eventually it was more like trusting that everything will work out the way it's supposed to be, that everything will be all right. And so we are now at that point where the house is sold, the money will come in soon, and this is the perfect time. So it was actually really the best way for for every parties involved. And this is really the beauty of the shamanic work. Once you connect with your spirit animals, with your spiritual teachers, you will trust and you will learn that you can trust them and that you will be safe. They will guide you. They will yeah, just hold you and support you, and this is the best feeling ever, even when life gets tough. And that, well, that's always happening. It's not that just because you start shamanic journeying and you connect with your spirit animals, everything will always be sunshine and rainbows. It's not like that. Life is about change, it's about transformation, it's about making experiences, it's also about emotions, it's about connections with other people. And this inevitably will lead to maybe conflicts, will lead to things that triggers you, and maybe old wounds will come up, but this is a good thing as well. And it was another cool thing that I did. I went to a conference about shamanic healing and indigenous healing, how what we can learn from our ancestors in terms of a happy, healthy life. And there I met Mary Reddick. And Mary, she's looking all over the world for answers about, the best diet, the best way of living. And she had been visiting over 100 different indigenous people and tribes all over the world. And so, yeah, she had a beautiful and very interesting talk about that. And after that, I was also able to ask her some questions. And what she said that, with all the tribes that she was with, there was just one exception, but the others, 99%, were that they have that shamanic, that they were actually practicing shamanism, which bases on their assumption that everything has a spirit, that nature has spirits, that, stars, the moon, planets, landscapes, everything has a spirit, and that everything is also connected through the spiritual aspect, and that through changing your consciousness, you can actually connect with the spirits of, for example, an animal or a tree or a stone. And she said almost every tribe of them, as I said, except just one, they're still practicing shamanism. They're practicing gratitude. And she said all of them were just so exceptionally happy. They were so grateful. They were dancing together, singing together, drumming together. They were doing rituals together and just being so close with nature. Of course, they live with and from nature, but at the same time, I think really having that connection, feeling that spiritual connection will bring you so much joy, will bring you so much health and happiness. And she also said that, they were living in community. Community is such a big thing for them. They don't sleep alone. They don't cook alone. They do a lot of things together. And I think this is also a big part that, is a reason for us that we don't feel maybe connected, because we spend a lot of time isolated. We had probably bad experience with other people, and then so we kind of withdraw ourselves from the society. And yeah, I mean, you don't need to go to the party every day, but I think it's important to have at least a couple people around you who are like-minded, who you really can be yourself, who love you for who you are and support you and cheer you up. And these people are out there. That was also where I realized, for me, it's important for me to make these videos, so to have a platform and build a community, people who want to work shamanically, who are interested in indigenous wisdom, and who want to also change their lives for the better, who are interested to learn, who are interested to connect and all that. And so Mary also said what she realized is that many of these tribes, or also actually almost every tribe of them, were based on meat. They eat a lot of fat, animal fat, the blubber of a whale or the blubber of a seal, fish, seafood, animals, dairy, and so mainly animal based, or heavily animal based. Just, depending on the season, they have a couple berries or they have some certain plants, but mostly animal based. And this is something I will explain more in more detail in another video. But like, I actually ended up accidentally becoming a carnivore, or becoming meat-based or animal-based eater, because that was something that I realized I felt really good with on my body, and my body really loved it. And talking to Mary just gave me that confirmation that this is actually something that, is very common in indigenous tribes. because obviously it is the ancient way for us to eat, and maybe the most healthy way to eat as well. I don't want to put a label on diet, because it's just an exhausting topic. But here I just want to share what I've learned about this, and what I've heard, and what I've seen. And so, as I said, I will make another video where I'll go into more detail about it. But just to see that in most of these indigenous people eat animal based, eat meat based, is incredible for me, because there is such a big opinion out there that when you work spiritually, you shouldn't eat meat. That was something that I've heard many times, and I was not open about talking that I'm eating basically only meat because I didn't want to have that conversation with other shamanic practitioners. But now I think I'm just, I am who I am. And if there's just someone out there who maybe has the same experience, and then, sees me as like, oh, wow, maybe there's something to it. Or someone who wants to eat meat and feels bad about it because, they want to be very spiritual, and they've heard, like, if I'm eating meat, then I'm not spiritual anymore. No. So, and I definitely was one of them where I was really doubting myself, should I do this or shouldn't? But I felt my body was craving a lot of meat. And so I gave it to my body, and I felt actually the opposite. I felt way more connected with life, with universe, with animals. And I became even more grateful for my food. And it gave me my peace of mind back. My nervous system regulated, my hormones regulated. I actually felt more spiritual than I did when I was only eating plants, and I was a vegetarian for over 10 years. So, but as I said, that's a topic for another video. I just wanted to mention it, that this was also part of Mary's talk. And this is also the reason why I wanted to change a bit my topics in my channel, and I changed the name of my channel to Old Wisdom New Life, because it's not only the shamanic work, the spiritual aspect that we can look at when we want to learn something from the indigenous people, but it's also the way they eat, they move, they live in community. It's also the way they have their daily rhythms. For example, with light, my husband and I, we're now really taking care of our light hygiene. I want to say that like that. So, we are also mammals, we are animals, and our body reacts highly to light impulses. So it's a whole different light spectrum when the sun goes up compared to when the sun goes down. And these different light spectrums give us like an impulse of like, okay, now, sun rises, okay, it's morning, all the systems go up. We're awake now, we have energy. Our cortisol level might go up, like we're awake and we're ready for the day. But when we keep having artificial light sources in our house, also when we start reading, late night, or we're on a computer and we're on a mobile phone and we're scrolling through Instagram, whatever, with this display, this light will tell our body it's still daytime. It's not time yet to go to sleep, because this mainly blue light, this is exactly what we have in the morning that will give us the energy to get up and to be busy. But if we don't remove it before bedtime, then we won't have this hormonal input of like, okay, now the body down regulates, it's getting ready for sleep. So we are no exceptions, just because it may be technologically advanced and we have all these cool devices, but yet our body is still running as like on nature rules. We are animals. So that's what my husband and I did. We actually switched over to candles in the evening, so no artificial light anymore. Then we also have glasses with red tinted glasses, so that we don't have the blue light in front of our eyes. And that's an amazing difference. It makes a big difference. So yeah, all of this will be part of my channel, and I'm so excited about it to share all of this with you. And because I know, and I'm sure that it will benefit you as well, just as it benefited me, and also lots of people I've talked to and I've seen. Yeah, and if you're completely new here, you have no idea what I'm talking about, what is actually shamanism, what are indigenous people, why should we listen to this woman, then you can start here with this video, where I talk about what shamanism actually is. And also you can go through my playlist. I also have a video for how you can find your spirit animal without, having to know how to shamanic journey. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching. I'm so excited for the future, and I hope to see you again. See you then. Bye.